8 out of 10 people will meet a toxic person at some point in their life who not only ruins their peace, but it also tests their strength. It's a quiet epidemic, however so common that you might not see it under the surface. A lot of people are dealing with emotional manipulators who tear them down and make them doubt their own worth. Today, we dig deep into how to not only survive, but also thrive in the face of such challenges. We're going to look at the very old but incredibly useful wisdom of Stoicism. This philosophy, which is more than 2,000 years old, teaches us more than just how to survive. How do we use our inner strength like a well-tuned music pipe in the symphony of life? From putting up walls that can't be broken to learning how to be detached, I will show you 13 powerful strategies that will give you the tools you need to make changes. How to deal with toxic people safely if you want to change the game and invest in yourself. This video is the first step to emotional empowerment. Come with me as we take back our peace. At a time, one Stoic plan. Toxic behavior is often so subtle that people mistake it for something else. For normal talk, especially when it comes from someone close to us. This is when the Stoic practice of objective observation stops being useful. Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius taught that understanding how things work in the world is important, and the thoughts that go along with them can help you become wise and protect yourself. How can we start to see these terrible behaviors in everyday actions? It starts with realizing that someone who is acting in a toxic way often criticizes others, or fake news. As their main tools, you may notice that every conversation leaves you feeling down. They may not accept your accomplishments. They keep moving the goals. They want to make it impossible for you to feel successful by constantly putting you down. Another red flag is perpetual victimhood, which keeps you off balance. Toxic people are experts at twisting stories so that they are always the ones who get hurt. By seeing themselves as the potential victim, no matter what the situation is, not only do they want sympathy, but they also want to avoid taking responsibility for what they did. In Stoicism, we learn to see things as they are, taking away the layers of emotions and stories. This viewpoint helps us find the truth. People often show up behind the facade, and then there's the problem of crossing lines. People who are toxic don't always respect personal space or limits that they may often set. The use of your time or resources without caring about your personal obligations or well-being. Stoicism reminds us how important it is to be in charge of our own actions and decisions. We must set boundaries and let go of things we can't control, like other people's demands and intrusions. These actions, along with others, make a bad mix that can cloud our judgment and harm our emotional health. But the first step is to become aware of these patterns. Once you know what your peace is, you can start to use Stoic principles to get it back. Not being attached or making good decisions doesn't mean you're emotionless or cold, but rather choosing not to let other people's actions rule your insides. By bringing this awareness to light and combining it with Stoic wisdom, you give yourself power, not only to be aware of toxicity, but also to choose awarely how to contact those toxicity people who act in these ways. This isn't about changing them. That's not in our power, but about how we react. That's where our real power lies. Realizing that someone's behavior isn't their fault is one of the most freeing and difficult parts of dealing with difficult people. Lots of the time has nothing to do with us. It's just a shape of their own inside battles. The Stoics had a clear understanding of worries or problems that had not been solved. In this area of human behavior, they thought that everyone acts in a way that whatever they think and feel is right, no matter how wrong it may look to an outsider. It's easy to fall into the trap of personalizing someone else's behavior when they act out or manipulate, of thinking, "What did I do to deserve this?" Adopting a Stoic view, on the other hand, means realizing that people's ugly actions are usually driven by things Because of their own problems, they project onto the outside world. For example, someone who is always critical is what they are arguing about internally. Or controlling their behavior could be caused by their own fears of not being good enough or a deeper need to feel in charge, because they really feel lack of help. In other parts of their life, if we look at what they did through this lens, it stops being an attack on their person and starts being a sad reflection of how they are. This realization helps us get away from the toxicity of other people. Stoicism teaches us not to let outside events affect us, but to keep our cool, our peace of mind. By realizing that other people's actions do not show how worthwhile we are or steps we can take to keep this peace, we manage our responses in place of reacting quickly, which not only keeps the peace, but also gives us the upper hand. This insight also shows how to handle these interactions in a way that shows compassion. Marcus Aurelius told us to be kind and understanding to others, even if what they do seems wrong. They don't want such a response because they know their behavior is harmful, might be the result of their weaknesses, and not a planned attempt to hurt us. It's possible to act in a calm and collected way that doesn't make things worse. Setting boundaries means being clear about where you end and someone else begins. From a Stoic point of view, it's about knowing what's within our control. Stoicism doesn't just tell us to put up with things. It tells us to stand up for what's right. Setting clear rules for our interactions is a clear way to get our peace of mind. When we think about it, we are figuring out what is okay and not okay in our relationships. Most of the time, setting boundaries means saying no or laying out physical rules. Limits on your thoughts and feelings, but it's more than that. It's also about standing up for your rights. To set your needs in order of importance, define your space, and set the rules. Determining who can get to your life and energy. This could look like not answering work calls after hours or choosing not to talk to people that you find hurtful or too critical in the way Stoicism is practiced. A lot of attention is paid to discipline and self-control, which directly affects how we set limits. For instance, if someone consistently disrespects your time, a Stoic response would be to stay calm. But make it clear to them what your limits are. It's not about confrontation. However, setting these boundaries will consistently help you stand by your principles. Not only are you keeping yourself safe, but you're also teaching other people how to interact with you. It is important to be clear about what is and isn't acceptable during this process. And then staying with it when roles are broken. Instead of reacting emotionally, a Stoic response would focus on following the rules in a practical and detached way. This could mean leaving a situation or stating your boundary over and over again. In a calm way, it's important to remember that even though we can't control what happens in the outside world, our ability to set and keep boundaries gives us control over our responses. This is mostly about deciding what you'll do when people test the limits you've set. This act of self-government fits with Stoic ideas because it helps us keep things fair. And think about what really matters. Make reasonable choices and find peace within. By doing this, you not only protect your mental space, but you also build a life that is less reactive and more intentional. A life where you act with respect first and respect for each other, not on the thoughts and disregards of other people. Some Stoic philosophers, like Marcus Aurelius, talked a lot about power. How to keep your cool in times of trouble. Mastering the art of not reacting. You don't have to hold back your feelings. You can choose not to let outside actions affect you. This skill is very useful when dealing with toxic people to disturb your inside calm, who often thrive on being able to make you angry when someone tries to upset you with criticism. When they manipulate or control someone, their main goal is usually to get a response that confirms their power. You break the cycle when you choose not to react. Non-reaction should not be confused with passivity is a choice based on strategy and an active way to protect yourself from negative emotions. Think of it as picking where to put your energy in this person or situation. Is it worth your peace of mind? The answer is usually no. To master non-reaction in real life, you have to stop what you're doing. If we were to be provoked during this pause, a Stoic would tell us to think about what caused the disturbance. Did I have anything to do with this? If not, why should I let it bother me? This reflection gives us time to think about what happened and how we felt about it. To choose the most reasonable and less disruptive next steps. This approach aligns with Stoic on what we can control when we stop reacting is an important Stoic ideas. We keep control of our most valuable resource in spite of every disturbance. This practice builds inner strength over time, which is good for our mental health, transforming us into people who can't be easily changed by outside factors. Think about how strong it is to stay calm when there are a lot of accusations or consequences. This strength is what leads to non-reaction. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about choosing not to fight battles that make you angry. Being aware that the only real power toxic people have over you is the power you give them. This will change how you react more and more as you do it. Not only do toxic people do this, but so do lose their power over you. But your stress levels may also go down. You become what the Stoics wanted, a person whose peace cannot be joined, because it depends not on outside factors, but on choices made within. It's not always best to hide from the storm. Sometimes it's better to become part of it. The least important rock on which its waves crash without working. This is what the gray rock method is all about, an approach that can work really well. How to deal with someone whose actions are harmfully looking for attention, making yourself emotionally dull and unresponsive like a gray rock is the method. So the toxic person cannot get the drama they need by using this method. Doesn't mean changing who you are, but how you act when you bare yourself. That could be harmful if you get in touch with a toxic person. Keep your reply so small and blank that the other person can't be happy with what they try to get you to answer questions with simple one-word answers or to manipulate you or passive words like, I guess, or maybe I don't know. The goal is to make the interaction as pointless as possible, so that the toxic people will look for emotional stimulation somewhere else if this strategy doesn't work. With Stoic teachings about keeping our reactions in check and not letting outside behavior get in the way, emotional suppression is not a part of our internal peace Stoicism. Rather, it's for smartly controlling one's visible emotions to keep one's own peace. A type of Stoic indifference is used when you become a gray rock. You are aware that toxic things are around you, but you choose not to let them affect your mood. Also, this method teaches us the value of having choices in how we interact with others. Stoics like Epictetus stress that not all thoughts and feelings need to be spoken out loud. Even more so, if using the gray rock method in this way causes turmoil or stress. Selective engagement can be seen as a form of Stoic wisdom because you pick your battles carefully, being aware that peace doesn't just come from silence, but from using silence in a smart way. In the end, the gray rock method is about keeping your energy safe. It works in real life. How Stoic resilience can help you manage tough interpersonal changes. If you can master this method, you can keep your cool without losing your cool. Interactions with toxic people can often do a lot of harm to your emotions. When dealing with persistent negativity or demands, the best response isn't always what you think it is. Is the easiest one repeating your stance once and again. This is known as the broken record technique. It involves calmly setting new limits or reaffirming your place. No matter how many times you are challenged, instead of making the situation worse, this technique can work amazingly well if you are pressed to change your response in working with harmful people who love to push boundaries or cause disasters. When you use this method, you follow the Stoic principle of stability and resilience. Stoicism teaches us to stick to our beliefs and be consistent in what we do. No matter what outside pressures are, this consistency is not about sticking together. It's about making sure that our actions are in line with our morals and smart choices. By restating your point without changing it, you show that you're sure of your choice. Isn't up for negotiation. This can be very helpful in conversations when someone is taking advantage of you or planning to make you do something wrong. You should use your better judgment if someone keeps pressing you to do something. It bothers you that you have to say, "I'm not available for that," over and over again every time it comes up. Very easy to mistake and slowly gets in the way of the other person's resolve to sway you. Each repetition reinforces your boundary and teaches the other person what it means. Your position is firm and not likely to be changed by stress or emotional appeals. This method is also based on the Stoic practice of keeping your emotions in check. People who are Stoic try to face life's problems with a level head and a steady heart. This is exactly what the broken record technique does. It keeps you from getting emotionally worn out. That can happen when you write long explanations or justifications. It keeps you focused on what's most important and saves your mental energy. Your quiet mind and following your principles. Sometimes, cutting down on the amount of time spent on toxic substances is the best way to deal with them. Limiting your time with toxic people isn't about staying away from them. Choosing to spend your time and energy in places that are better for your health is what it's all about. This fits well with the Stoic practice of focusing on what helps. The Stoics believed that we should add good things to our lives and stay away from things that hurt us. About how important it is to surround yourself with goodness and reason, suggesting that our environment and company can have a big effect on our personality and peace of mind. When you spend less time with people who drain your emotional energy, you're not just avoiding negativity. You are actively making your environment more positive and peaceful. In real life, this could mean choosing not to go to certain events where a toxic person will be present. Or it could mean setting digital limits, like not responding right away to messages that are meant to provoke. Also, it might mean rearranging your social circle or work relationships in ways that make them less stressful. Your direct contact with difficult people. This strategy is about managing people over your environment as much as possible, since we can't always choose. When it comes to who we work with or who our family is, we often get to choose how much and how we do things. We interact with them, and limiting exposure can also be seen as a way to keep our minds healthy. Keeping your mind free of stress and negativity that aren't necessary. Cutting down on the number of challenging people you interact with is good for more than just your mental health. By taking this proactive step, you're also avoiding future emotional turmoil. Stoic teachings say that it helps you keep an inside state of calm. Stoics value peace and argue that people need to get away from situations sometimes, or links that are struck with disagreement. A strong support system isn't just a nice-to-have, it's essential for healthy living. The Stoics knew that community was an important part of their philosophy. How important fellowship is and how strong it is to have wise and supportive companions. They believed in the idea of mutual uplift, which means that people can lean on each other for help, guidance, and insight to cultivate virtues and navigate with all of life's challenges. Building a support system means putting yourself in a good position, with people who understand and respect your journey and who tell you to keep your boundaries and grow as a person. This could be friends who understand that you need time to think, or family members who will support your choices without criticizing them. It could also include finding a community that maybe follows the Stoic principles and where people can live. Help each other. Build resilience and inner peace through this support network as a recorder and a mirror that show you not only what you are but also what you can be. When being around toxic people starts to lower your self-esteem or make you doubt yourself, These trusted people can give you views that reset your sense of self. They help you remember your values and that you're not the only one going through hard times, and that others share your desire to live a meaningful and directed life. Having a supportive circle also gives you a healthier way to release your emotions by giving you a place to do so, where you can talk about your troubles and frustrations without fear of being manipulated. This is important for maintaining mental health, especially when navigating to unhealthy relationships, because it stops people from being alone, which is what these relationships are supposed to do. By building these kinds of relationships, you become another Stoic ideal. To seek wisdom through community and discussion, just like the ancients did. Stoics got together to talk about philosophy and help each other grow as people. So too you can benefit from a modern equivalent, whether it's through meetups in person, online forums, or simple gettings with friends who share your views. It's important to remember this when you're dealing with difficult relationships. What self-care means, while self-care may make you think of luxurious days at the spa, it's mainly about taking care of your health so you can deal with life's problems in a strong way. Even the Stoics put a lot of importance on taking care of oneself, but their main goal was to nurture others. They believed in the mind and soul just as much, if not more than, the body. That keeping your mind clean was important for reasonable thought and good living. In the Stoic sense, self-care means doing things that keep your mind and emotions in good shape. It means making time to think, maybe by writing in a journal or meditating. This kind of mental care is an area where you can handle your emotions and experiences in a safe way, lets you stop and look at your situation clearly, which help you make decisions that are in line with your values, rather than reactions to pressures from the outside. Setting limits on your time and energy is also part of self-care. It requires noticing when certain interactions are using up your resources and letting yourself off the hook. It's not selfish to take a step back. It's good for your health and success in every area of life, whether it's refusing extra commitments or not taking them that will make you stressed out, or making sure you have time every day to stop and do things that make you happy. Doing these things is essential for maintaining your well-being, and self-care is just as important, and the Stoics would have seen it as necessary for them to be able to think clearly and be healthy. This could include doing resistant workouts, eating well, and getting enough sleep. Self-care activities that keep the body strong and the mind sharp. Also, it means taking the initiative to get help when you need it, whether that's professional counseling or something else. Talking to a wise friend and getting help with managing your mental health is an important part of self-care because it shows that you want to improve yourself. And the Stoicist ideal of growth through outside help when needed. Putting self-care first helps you honor your worth and respect your dignity. You also get the tools you need to deal with toxic relationships with grace and strength. Following the Stoic principle that outside events should not upset your inner peace, we have to learn that not everyone is open to change. This is one of the hardest lessons in life. This realization is very important, especially when their actions are very ingrained. When we're dealing with toxic people, whose actions could hurt our emotional health. Stoicism is a useful way to look at this, because it stresses how important it is to focus on what we can take charge of our actions and reactions while letting go of what we can't. That includes the actions and choices of other people who follow this principle, includes understanding that no amount of care or persuasion on your part will work. You can change people who do not want to change. This is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but a basic part of human autonomy that everyone has to make their own decision about. They have to decide for themselves whether to change and grow or stay in the same old habits. Stoics would say that trying to change someone who doesn't want to change is not only pointless, but also harmful. Not only a waste of your valuable time and energy, but also a mistake of what you could be doing with them. You should work on improving yourself and helping people who are willing to receive it. This acknowledgement doesn't mean you stop caring about other people or stop helping them. It's about changing your goals and adjusting your expectations to get better results. Desires. It means changing your view from taking aim at other people to improving your own life and helping people. Skills like patience, understanding, and strength. In this way, you honor another Stoic ideal, living in harmony with nature, which means accepting people as they are and realizing that you can't change everyone. It frees you from emotional stress and helps you build healthier relationships. It frees you from worrying about other people's happiness or growth and lets you set limits. It teaches you how important it is to let go of things when your involvement is doing more harm than good. To your own well-being while you can support, share skills, or be a good example. The person must let go of the need to fix other people in order to make a change. Not only eliminates stress, but it also gives you peace of mind and lets you invest more deeper in relationships with people who appreciate and reward your effort. This not only helps you grow, but it also supports the Stoic way of life. Thinking about what you really have the power to do. Changing the way you think about an event is a powerful tool called cognitive reframing, or interaction, which changes its emotional impact. This is a very dark technique based on Stoic principles, especially the idea that things that happen to us are not what makes us sad. However, by changing how we see them and how we interpret them, we can keep our peace. And look for better ways to carry out problems when you're with a toxic person. As an example, it's easy to see their negativeness as an attack, but when someone reframes their behavior, they see it as a reflection of their own problems and fears. This change in perspective is important because it moves you, not a personal front, from a place of weakness to one of understanding and control. You start to understand that their actions are based on their own problems, not on what you think or feel. This technique doesn't just lower the emotional sting, it also makes you better at what you do. To react wisely. If you see that someone's rude words are over it, you're less likely to respond with defensiveness when they are stressed or unhappy. In place of anger or sadness, you can choose to respond with compassion or not at all. Staying at peace within you. Stoicism teaches us that we have the power to do what we want, to choose how we react, and cognitive reframing is a way to use what we've learned in real life. It frees us from automatic emotional responses and lets us use our rational mind. When we do this, our actions are more in line with our values and the kind of person we want to be. You can also use cognitive restructuring to turn problems into opportunities. For growth, for example, a tough interaction can be seen as more than just a tough deal, but because it gives you a chance to work on being patient or assertive. This not only makes the experience, if you use cognitive restructuring to make things easier to handle and help your personal growth, we not only handle our interactions with toxic people better, but we also get better at what we do. Of Stoicism by taking charge of our thoughts and feelings. This way of thinking gives us more freedom in how we deal with life's problems. With knowledge and beauty. Forgiving someone can be one of the hardest things we can do, but it can also be one of the most freeing things we can do. This idea is deeply ingrained, especially when dealing with harmful behaviors. In Stoic philosophy, not only as a moral virtue, but also as a useful tool. Stoics believe that forgiveness is the best way to keep inner peace because realize that holding on to anger and resentment keeps us stuck in the past and ruins the peace we feel now. When you forgive someone who has hurt you, it doesn't mean you agree with what they did or forget the harm they caused. Rather, it's about letting go of the whole effect that your family of bad feelings have on you by forgiving them. This act of letting go is mostly for your own good. When you let go of anger and grudges, you free up mental space that was being used by them. The process of forgiving someone involves letting better thoughts and feelings take their place. Also shows the Stoic view that people act based on how much they know and are aware of something. When someone does something bad, it's usually because they have a wrong idea. Or they don't know a wiser way to act from this point of view. Those who wrong us are wrong about how they live, which can lead to compassion instead of constant hostility. Accepting forgiveness helps us concentrate on the things we can change about our thoughts and actions. Stoicism teaches us that even though we can't change what other people do or the past, we can always make a choice. How we understand and react to those actions when you choose to be forgiven. You are making the choice not to let someone else's behavior control your feelings. This also fits with the Stoic goal of having control over one's inner life. Forgiving someone can be seen as a form of self-respect because it strengthens your ability to do so. To get better and say that your peace is more important than holding on to pain. It's a recognition that your emotional health is very important and that you have. In real life, the strength to get it back might start with small acts of forgiveness. Make free choices, not to react with anger or to stop ruminating when it comes to past offenses. It often takes consistent practice and patience. When you forgive someone, no matter how small, it's a step toward a more peaceful life. And stable life that respects Stoic principles by putting reasonably first whole health emotions and freedom of person. If you want to stay healthy, you need to know when to leave a toxic situation. This choice to stand firm on your values is a strong example of the Stoic belief in self-preservation and how important it is to choose environments that make us stronger rather than weaker. Stress how important it is to think about what is good for our character and inner peace, which can mean getting away from things that make us feel bad all the time, is not a sign of cowardice, but of courage and useful knowledge. It means a deep understanding what you can and cannot change in a relationship where you respect each other. Growth and change are never present. Deciding to leave is about honoring yourself. Enough to say no to more damage. This choice is in line with the Stoic practice of telling the difference between things we can control and things we can't. While we can try to change other people's responses and actions for the better, lie beyond our control in the end. The act of walking away is also a reflection of the Stoic principle that things outside of you should not be allowed to disturb our inspired peace. By leaving a toxic setting, you do what you need to do to protect your mental and emotional health by making sure that these outside forces. If you want to keep your peace, you need to understand that your environment is very important. I believe in your ability to live a good life according to Stoic virtues. This choice is usually made after a lot of thought and consideration. According to Stoic thought, it means figuring out if the situation is right, what you believe, and whether your continued participation might do more harm than good. It is a calculated move that is made with the clear intention of being hard. If you want to make your life better, walking away can be the most empowering thing you do. It's a statement that you have the power to shape your life and pick the relationships you have. Each step away from toxicity is another step upwards in self-respect, peace, and the kind of life you wish to live. One that is in line with what you want. I will do this with Stoic ideals of self-mastery and inner peace in mind. You show that you have the Stoic resolve to not only survive, but also thrive by changing the story of your life. Thank you for joining me today to discuss these Stoic strategies. When dealing with life's problems, remember that changing other people isn't the way to peace, but by mastering ourselves. If you found this helpful and want to dive deeper, check out the suggested video on the screen for more insights. Thank you for being a part of the deep Stoic community. Be careful and keep working on your inside strength.